The left-wing party Syriza won Sunday's elections in Greece, fanning more economic fears throughout Europe. As the party vows to scale back the austerity measures Greece agreed to in exchange for its $269 billion bailout from the EU and the IMF. Here to talk about the implications of the Syriza victory is Diego Iscaro, senior principal economist with IHS, joining us from London. And Diego, there was a lot of talk about a Grexit or Greece leaving the Eurozone should the Syriza party win. Do you think that's still a possibility?
Has repeatedly maintained that they want to keep Greece inside the Eurozone. And also, most Greeks want to stay in the Eurozone as well. So I think from that point of view, the risk of Greece leaving is relatively small. The problem is what kind of results will the negotiations between the newly elected government and Greece's official lenders, what we'll get. At the moment, there seems to be little ground of common ground between them,
right.
And the question is what will happen if they do not reach an agreement.
Now, realistically, could Alexis Tsipras, who is widely expected to be Greece's new prime minister, simply tear up the agreements to that bailout deal? And if so, what would be the consequences for Greece?
Well, realistically, he has said that he's ready to negotiate. The problem is that many of the pledges that Greece has made during the campaign are unlikely to be accepted by Greece's official lenders. The big problem is that Greece is still dependent on external funding to cover its funding needs, and also the fact that Greek banks still depend on the ECB to provide liquidity, and the ECB has said that without a new program in place, they are ready to stop supporting Greek banks. That is really the main issue. If the ECB stops supporting Greek banks, then Greek banks will be under intense
right.
liquidity pressure, and they will be unprepared to support the economy.
Right. Now, there's also concern over the $7 billion worth of bonds that matured this summer. Now, Greece can't afford to pay them back. So what would a possible default mean for Greece and the rest of Europe?
Well, in our view, Greece, should be able to maintain its liquidity position or its liquidity without external support until July, when the first of these bonds matures. If they don't get an agreement by then we are likely to see a default. A default wouldn't necessarily mean that Greece will have to leave the Eurozone, but the problem is that if the Greek government or Greece actually defaults, then we will be in a situation where the ECB will certainly stop supporting Greek banks, and also I think we may see some contagion to other Eurozone peripheral countries.
Now, will any systemic risk stemming from a Grexit or overall uncertainty in Greece be overshadowed by the stimulus measures announced by the ECB last week, which were largely well received?
Well, on the positive side, most of the firewalls that have been put in place in recent years, such as the European Stability Mechanism and OMT, they're helping to isolate Greece. And if we see what's happening to bond yields in Portugal, in Spain, they haven't really been affected by uncertainty in Greece. Now, if Greece finally exits the Eurozone, the reality is no one really knows what's going to happen, because it will be the first country that do so. Our view is that as long as Greece remains in the Eurozone, contagion is likely to be limited. If Greece leaves the Eurozone, then we are in a completely different scenario, and then we may see some contagion, particularly given that we also seen the rise of the populist parties in other Eurozone countries, such as Spain, for example.
All right, Diego, we'll leave it there. Diego Iscaro, senior principal economist at IHS, joining us from London. Thanks for your time. I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.